Hi guys, today I thought I'd show you how to make a faux agate. Now this particular one I got inspiration from one that was called a Montana agate, so I'm going to attempt that. So I've already got my little squares cut out, and I just used a 1 inch square cutter, so they're all the same size and they're all the same thickness. Now these are rolled out onto a number 4, all of them are rolled out onto a number 4. And I'm using Cernit metallic pearlescent, that's this one, Cernit translucent, and Cernit metallic bronze, that's this one. And I'm going to do it as 2 separate blocks. So I've kind of arranged my pieces in according to which block is going to be which block. I'm probably not going to be using all of this bronze, and I'm probably not going to be using all of this pearl. Now, I haven't practiced this, so if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out and you won't get to see it. But I thought I might as well record as I go along, because I waste so much clay doing a pre-run before a tutorial, so I'm just going to try and go ahead and do one without practice first. Oop, that needs to go over there. So I've got all my translucent for this first block and all my pearl for this block, and then I've got some extra translucent for this block. So I'm going to take my first piece of trans and my little bit of pearl, and I'm probably not going to use all this, but I just cut them out anyway, just to give me a guide of what was going where. So I've got my first piece of trans and my first piece of pearl, and I'm just going to cut that in half and place that on top of the trans. That's the first bit. Then I'm going to take my next piece of trans and I'm going to get the remainder of that pearl and cut it in half again, like so. And I'm going to take my third piece of trans and I'm going to get my other piece of pearl and I'm going to cut it, whoops, half, quarter, and then that little bit goes in there. So I don't actually need all of this, so there is some left over. So essentially you've got 3 pieces of trans mixed in with varying amounts of the metallic pearlescent clay, and then also 3 pure trans. So that's for the first block. Obviously that's got to be mixed together. These have got to be mixed together. So I'm just going to put those to one side, and then I'm going to take the trans from the other stack, get my copper, and same thing, half. Oops, sorry guys, I went off camera. Half again, and then that's smaller, so I'll just put that there. Then I wanted to get my pearlescent and just do little tiny bits of the copper in there. So I'm just going to quarter that. I'm all over the place, aren't I guys? Hee, this is what happens when I don't practice first. So half of that in there, and then half of that again in that piece. So again, varying degrees, some in the trans, some in the pearlescent white, and that's all I'm going to need. And then I've got 3 pieces of pure trans on its own. Alright, so I'm going to go and mix all these together and I'll be back. Okay guys, I'm back. So I've mixed the translucent and the varying degrees of pearlescent together, and the same with the I keep thinking it's copper, it's not, it's bronze, and the same with the bronze and the translucent, and then this is the bronze with the white pearlescent, and I've got some pure translucent here as well, and I've rolled these all down to number 5 now. I also decided to do a little quick blend, and this is just 1 inch square of the bronze with 1 inch square of the metallic pearlescent, just to add to the mix. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is just, and this is not going to be a neat stack by any means. I'm keeping it, you know, like this. I'm not rolling it into neat squares, and I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit. Let me just move this up a little bit. Okay, this is all, what am I doing? This is all this stack anyway, so we're just working with this section here for now. Alright, so I've got my trans, and I've got the trans mixed with the largest amount of the pearlescent, and then I'm going to top that with the trans with the medium amount. Whoops, broke it, don't care. It doesn't matter if it's raggedy like this. Like that, and then I'm going to add another layer of trans, and then the trans mixed with the pearl, yeah, that one, and then my final piece of trans, and it's as simple as that. Okay, and I get the tipsy hair out, just give it a little mush, just making sure it's all stuck together. And I'm going to cut it in half and restack, and then just form it into a block, and it's as easy as that for that first little block. Okay, so that's that one done. But what I want to do now is just take something that you can poke into the clay. So I've just got this silicone tool, just to use the end of it to push into the clay. So that's what I'm going to do in a random fashion, not in necessarily straight lines or anything, just wherever, and then push it all back together. Excuse me. Push it all back together, give it a little roll, and I'm going to flip it over and do the same on the other side, just push in wherever. This is just to give it a little bit of pattern running through, and then smush it back together. Like this. Smooth it out a bit with your roller. Ignore the little bit of bronze there, it won't matter, it won't really show up in the final piece, and even if it does, it will probably add to the overall look. Alright, so I've got my little block of the trans and pearlescent, metallic pearlescent in there, and that's all there is to it. That's that one. Now this one, so we've got the dark, medium, light bronze mixed into the trans, we've got the dark, medium and light mixed into the pearlescent, and we've got trans on its own, and also this little blend. So let's start with this one first, and I'm just looking at my picture. I've got a little picture next to me. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to go with the darkest shade of the copper first, and then I'm going to add the darkest shade of the copper mixed in with the pearlescent, and I'm just going to take little strips of the Skinner blend and just kind of lay it over there like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take a piece of my trans and just put that on the top like so, and then I'm going to take another little strip or other little strips of the Skinner blend and just place that wherever. I'm not being precise. At the end of the day, stones are quite random. They grow how they grow. I don't know if stones grow, but that's that's what I'm calling it. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of that on there, like that. And then I'm going to take my translucent with the medium amount of bronze in there, and then the medium amount of bronze in the pearlescent. Let me think. Trans, a little bit of Skinner blend. Just randomly placed. Like so. And then my last piece of trans mixed with bronze and bronze mixed with white pearlescent, and the last piece of translucent, and that's that. So we've got this scruffy looking little block, but that's okay, it will end up looking like this little block. Now the reason I've done it in two separate blocks is because I feel like I can get more control over where I lay the pieces, as opposed to if I was to stack it and then you just cut down and it's all kind of uniform. I don't want it like that. I want to be able to oh, what am I doing? I need to roll this first. Sorry guys, got distracted. So roll it out a little bit, cut it in half and restack. Yeah, so I'm doing two separate blocks and you'll see why in a minute. I just want more control over where the pieces go, if that makes sense. Well, it will make sense when I actually show you. Alright, so I'm just going to squash this into a little block like this, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with this one and just push some random pokies in there. Get off me. Just some little random pokies like this. Okay, and then mush it back together. So you're going to get some distortion throughout the block, which is what you want. Oops. This Cernit being a little bit sticky again. Actually, it's not too bad. I think it's because it's quite chilly in my basement. It's not as sticky as it sometimes can be. Give that a roll just to smooth it out a little bit. Flip it over. Do the same on the other side. Some little random pokies. And I think that's good. Just put another one there. Same thing, mush it back together. My little Tipsy's down here being annoying. She's crying because she wants to go outside. She sees the sun and she thinks it's warm out there, so she screams and screams and screams to be let out. And she goes out, and within 20 or 30 seconds she's back inside again. I'm like, I told you it was cold, but you don't listen. So that's what she's doing now. She's trying to get my attention. She's got no social boundaries, that one. Okay, so I'm just when you finished smoothing and squaring off and all the rest of it, you got yourself two little blocks. Okay, I'm just going to square this off a little more. Right, so you got your two little blocks. Yes, one's bigger than the other, but hey ho. Right, I've also got myself some backing. This is just translucent mixed with a little bit of the pearlescent white. I actually didn't mean to mix any of that in there, but I did by mistake, so that's what it is. It was going to be just translucent, but again, hey ho. Alright, so make sure you got yourself a backing because you're going to be taking off thin slices. We're not stacking like you see some people do and cut down, and that's nice. That's a beautiful way of doing it, and I have done it that way before, but I wanted to try it this way just to see. So I've got a little bit more control about where I lay the pieces. Alright, so I've got my backing clay, and I'm going to take my flexible blade, and I'm going to start with this, and I'll just move that out of the way for a second, and I'm just going to make sure it's stuck to my tile, and I'm just going to take thin slices like this. Now you're not going to be able to see much, of course, because it's translucent and white and it won't show until it's baked, but I can see the faint lines of the trans in there. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a slice, and I'm going to shape it a little bit how I want it to be. So this is why I wanted to do it this way, because I want to kind of manipulate it, and then I can decide where I want it to be on my backing sheet, and I'm just going to place it on there like that. Right. Now with the Montana agate, which is the one that inspired me to do this, it is quite translucent and a little bit opaque as well, all at the same time, so that's why I'm doing it like this. And I can just make out the little lines of the trans, so I'm going to place that there, and you can manipulate this as you go along how you want it to be. I'm just going to take another little slice like so, give it a little look to see what's going on. Okay, let's put that like that. So this bit is just you deciding where you want the pieces to be. I'm just going to take one more little slice, I think, just a little one. Ooh, that looks interesting. Like I say, I know you can't see it right now guys, but you will when it's been baked. And you'll be able to see when you're working with it, because obviously it's hard to pick up on camera. Maybe you can see it. Let me just bring it closer. I don't know if you can see. You can see some of the translucent lines showing through. Okay. I'm thinking I maybe shouldn't have gone so far with this. I'll work it out. Alright, so then I'm going to move to my next block. My ring keeps spinning round. And same thing, I'm just going to take off thin slices like so. And I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. And I'm just going to manipulate it, and you know, just do whatever you want with it. You can push little bits in here and there, stretch it out. So yeah, I'm just manipulating the clay, and I'm just going to lay that here. Now I am going to overlap on this translucent a little bit because I went too far with it, I think. That's fine, it's translucent, it's not going to damage the look or anything. Excuse me. And then I'm going to take another slice. And I'm actually going to roll this out a little bit so it's a bit thinner. And same thing, I'm just going to manipulate it. So I'm just pushing it in places. You know, I'm just distorting it how I want it to be. Like this. Excuse me guys, I've got a frog in my throat. And then I'm just going to place that there like that, and again I'm overlapping on that previous slice because, like I say, I went a little bit too wide with it. And I think I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to make sure it's nicely on there. Give it a little roll. Give it a little burnish. And the beauty of doing it this way as well, you can just make one pendant at a time, and that way you're not going to waste a lot. You can control how big you make your piece, and well, you can do that the other way, I guess, as well. Never mind, guys, I'm just rambling. I know what I mean. Right, so when you've done that, make sure it's nicely smooth on there. And there's a little bit in there that I don't like, so I'm just going to remove that. Just a little bit of that stray bronze went on there. I'll just give that another quick burnish to smooth it back out. And I'm going to get some rubbing alcohol and a wipe and just give this a clean off. Oops. And that's it, guys. That's as much as I'm going to do, and I'm just going to take this off there because I've got alcohol all over it. Put it on a clean piece. I'm going to need to burnish that now because it kind of stuck to the card a little bit. I'm just going to smooth this off on the back. Okay, so we've got our veneer ready, and now I'm just going to get a cutter. Which one do I want to go with? Or shall I do a mould? Yeah, I think I'll do a mould. Just bear with. Bear with, guys, bear with. Yep, this one. I'm going to go with this one. So it's going to incorporate quite a bit of that. So I can actually take this off there, can't I? Okay, so I'm just going to cut out the rough shape. Whoops. The rough shape of this. I'm going to make sure I actually get that in there because I cut that a bit short, didn't I? And I'm just going to push it in the mould. Now obviously I still got this left over. Don't worry, you can reuse it. You could just add some more of the trans to it on this side. You can work it out. You can use it. You can use it. It won't go to waste. I think the problem with me is I tend to cut off two bigger slices to start with, and I ended up with quite a bit of this left over. But I will reuse it. I'm just going to take this off. So that's clean, and we can use this with something else. Went off at a tangent there, didn't I? Yeah, anyway, so get your piece in the mould, or you can just use a cutter, whatever you fancy. And I'm going to make sure it's nice and level, so I am going to take away some of the back so it's nice and flush. A little bumpy there. And don't get rid of these bits because it's still got some of that translucent pattern running through it, or you could just use it as filler. If you were to use a mould and you needed to fill the mould out a little bit, you could just use it for that. Waste not, want not. Alright, give it a quick roll just so it's nice and smooth. I'm going to give it a little wipe with some rubbing alcohol, just so it's nice and clean. And there's another tipsy hair. Excuse me again. Alright. So I'm just going to pop it out of this mould. And there we go. So, looking good so far, guys. I think this might be a toot after all. Because like I say, I didn't do a rerun of this before I did a toot, which is what I usually do. But I use up so much clay doing that. I mean, with some pieces I'm still going to have to, because if it's just an idea that's formed in my head and I'm not sure how it's going to be at all, then I will still do a practice run, so to speak. With this one I had a rough idea of what I was doing, where I was going with it, so I thought, hey, why not just record it? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it does, great. I've not wasted my clay, and I've got a tutorial ready. Alright, so once you're happy that it's nice and clean and nice and smooth, let me just check. I think I've got something in there. I might have to dig that out, but oh my goodness, Tipsy. I don't quite know why there's Tipsy hair up here. I wonder if she's like a little cat gremlin and stalks down here at night and jumps upon my desk. Anyway, there's the piece. I'm probably going to make a couple more pieces so I can show you, but just for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to make this one on camera. So I'm going to go and bake it, and I'll be back. Alright, so these have been baked, and I've sanded, well, I say these because I did two. This is the one I did on camera, this is the one I did off camera. I sanded them all through the grits and then buffed them. I do have a video for that, how I show you how to sand and buff, and that's the finished piece. I'm quite happy with it, guys. It was a bit of an experiment, but there you go. Faux Montana Agate. Is the pattern exactly how I saw it in the picture? No, but I'm still pleased with the outcome, and you can see that lovely squirrely translucent pattern in there. You'll see better on the thumbnail as well when I take a picture, and that's the back and the sides. So everything's nice and buffed and polished. So there's that one, and this is the one that I did off camera. Now bear in mind that when I did the backing for this, I accidentally mixed in a little bit of the metallic white. It was only a small amount, but I think it's made a little bit of a difference to the translucency, not much, but this was pure translucent on the back, and I actually did leave a little bit of the translucent showing as well, so you can just play around with it. But that's that one. I've not decided what I'm going to do with them yet, so just for the tutorial, they are cabochons, and you can decide how you want to string them. But there you go, guys, that's all for today, and I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.